Now, if I just go into my head page here and look at my videos, and pardon me for seeming narcissistic, but I'm just looking at the numbers here. Basically, the viewpoint is the number drop and the number rise in certain videos and over what period of time. So which has given the most, and it is about Tartary. It's about early maps and the essay of such things. Comets and quakes are very popular. And, right, looking at ghost towns, the planetarium, see how the numbers jump up when we're talking about the quakes and comets, and drop down when we get back into our viewpoints and visionary type stuff. So what I'm going to keep it on with the mud fossils and the Phoenicians, and also the architectural curiosities. What I've come to with the architectural anomalies are brought up by UAP in the thermal reaction by John Levy, as far as the thermal reaching down into the thermal area and then setting up a network of thermal. So that's possibly what I will be going into here. My largest views are an African antiquitech where our balls began, and people have taken offense in the balls began. However, as far as being a keyword, I'm more curious about dance balls, ballrooms type of thing, and there's no short description of that aside from ball, and so oopsie daisy. Right, now this essay the oldest maps I can find, and I do like to do comparative relationships and analogies between maps, between fashions. I think we should bring back many old fashions, and so that will be most of this essay today. And thanks for joining. Let's just get into the earliest maps, and I am going to callously put in earliest maps and see what actually comes up for that. Usually I go into the archive detail, but when you're talking about early world maps in the Wikipedian language, the earliest known maps date to classical antiquity. Oldest examples 6th to 5th century, still based on this paradigm. Wildness and craziness. I just looked up early world maps. I didn't really think that would... However, let's see. World maps assuming a... really becomes an issue here. Pardon me, it is a haphazard production. I did not intend to get into this particular detail. Look at all this, all these maps. I would like to see maps, very, very early. Like here's an early map right here. Oh, and there's obviously Europe, North America, South America. Yeah, okay, that's super. And let's go ahead and take a look at another. This is, of course, stop here for a second. 6th century BCE, a Babylonian world map known as the Mappa Mundi is commonly dated to the 6th century BCE. The map is reconstructed by Eckhard Ungern, shows Babylon on the Euphrates, surrounded by circular landmass showing Assyria, Yerevan, and Armenia, and several cities. Urartu, and Armenia, and several cities, in turn surrounded by a bitter river, Oceanus. So that is fascinating, Captain. With the outlying regions around the triangles of the forms, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's see this one. This is the Anaximander. Dun, da, da. Anaximander died, and there he is. And he liked to play the leaf. Excellente. Died in 546 BCE. He is credited as having created one of the first maps of the world, which was circular in form. Well, that's craziness. It should have been... all right, whatever. And showed the known lands of the world grouped around Aegean Sea at the center. That is a very cool map. I want 2 of these in my living room right now. Well, if I had a living room. I would want maybe 3. But okay. So, And this is 456 BCE. Well, they didn't know anything then. They couldn't draw. They didn't have pencils. Hicamadius of Metitis, Hicatius of Maltus, c. 550 to 476 BCE. Hicatius of Miltius died in 4 BCE from trying to pronounce his name. He's credited with a work entitled Ges Periodus, or Travels Round the Earth or World Survey. In 2 books, each organized the manner of periplus, point, coastal survey, blah, 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 blah. All right, well, yeah, really can put in some curious and confuscating details that I would be happy to tongue twist my way through were I up for torture. However, you can see what's in front of you and relatively run through these narrations. And it is curious about the Scythian area here in location 2. And of course, if you look at this map right here, you can see, Italy and the Italian area. Of course, that's what I call Italy. And then Athens and Syracuse, Scythia. Cool. Right. And really confined to this little area. So that's what they thought back in, according to the historical narrative, back in, I don't know why this is jumping screens so much. I've only clicked once and it's just going wild. However, we were just looking at this particular map right here. And the next one is Erothanius. And I suppose I could have just stayed on the page. Okay. Now the reconstruction of this particular map, and once again we have the same area focused in as a central point of, you see Italy here, and so where their center was in this old world detail and situation. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and if you saw my the one on Greece, Greece is the word that you, and well, I can't get this in close enough. I suppose I could download the image and then zoom in on it in another program, So just pull back on this, but take a quick view of, see the mountain range that goes, of course you do, off on the right side, that solid mountain range. And then you consider where things are. And you have the upper northern ocean. That would be where, Siberia is, because Europe over here. At any rate, just give you that viewpoint. Set that image into your mind. And to go from particular map to particular map, once again we have Le Méditerranée. And now you see a little bit more definitive detail on the Siberian, the Russian coast, where China would be in relation to... Right. And then you've got the Italian area, the Grecian area, and it's not quite as definitive in the lines and in the shapes, etc., of the lines in the era of Europe. All right, now this Ptolemaic map, and these are always curious, always interesting, and always say never. Or never say always. Or never say forever. But now this, or forever, all right. The thing with this map here is that there is really, if you look at all of the different angles, the degrees of the, the latitude and longitude, this won't zoom in for me, so that's what I'm trying to do. I apologize for the jumping screen, but the longitude angles here and the latitude angles are around this way, and their crisscross dimensions. Okay, when you put up this kind of a grid and then start allocating land masses to that grid, just wondering how you gain your perspective from center and how you determine center to be wherever all of these converge, because that isn't shown. And anybody to set up a grid in this type of fashion would know that there is a convergence. There is, because these degrees and numbers are based on a 0 point, no matter which direction you're going. And so that creates a curiosity for me. I will go ahead and download this and all of these images as mentioned, but wanted to bring up some of these valid points as valid points. All right, now we have Nicolaus Germanicus 1467 map. And once again, you may have noticed that I have gone through a lot of these maps in the past, but I have not downloaded each one and zoomed in on each particular download, which is what I am going to do in this essay. And so this will be a time-consuming essay, probably going for, I don't know, a couple of days, maybe a week. This map, now, see, we got to get a hold of this one, because this is like, okay, not looking at it anymore, because my head was about to explode. And this is a world map by Cosmas Indicopleustes. Wow. And that is just, he's got it going on. I wouldn't want anyone mispronouncing my name like that, but check out the alphabet down here. And if you look, or if you don't look, I'll describe it to you. There are letters up top that are going backwards. Absolutely flipped. So whenever I see something that's absolutely flip-flopped to the point that you cannot make it out, I think there's a reason for that. Why this is all blocked out here, it's almost like a, it's almost like it's been redacted in these areas. So I'm not going to go with the whole conspiracy thing. I'm just not even going to give this particular map any specific credence. I will, however, keep my word, download a copy, take a good close look at it, and wonder why it is so unbelievably obfuscated. All right, now you can take a curiosity in the contention that star forts, should they or had they existed back then, or they are considered to have existed, pardon the screen motion, would be showing up in these drawings. You see how the formations of these castles are? Each one individually in different sizes and locations in relation to the overall world map. Now, had I, look in the overall world map, that's basically all there is to that, and then go on to the next. Bringing up curiosities is all fine and well, and resolving the curiosities in some form of, we've gone through this one. This is a 1300's map. Let's see what it says here. This is a looks like a better photograph of it, possibly. We'll just take a look at this in the maps section. And so this brings me up to the 1300's, where I had left off prior. I'm going to go ahead and get into the looks. Now here's once again another map that I'm having to glaze over. Another one, but this one does show, as you can see, and this says it's an 1154 map. And so this one we are going to get into. Going to take a good close look at the overall arrangement in areas, and once again pop back over in some of these sections and segments to look at. Okay, now looking at this particular map, now I flipped it over, and if you can see the map that I just interrupted here, and I'm going to flip it back again so that you get a better idea of what we're looking at, and you can distinguish, or it is fairly distinguishable, that we have the Spain over here on the left, Africa down here, and so down in the African area you would find the Nile at some point along this area. And I'm thinking that this area right here is the Nile tributary. You see here we have this huge castle sort of thing. This would be Alexandria. And as you can see, Al Iscandria. So this is Alexandria, right here in this map, and this is the Egyptian Nile, Nile of the, Delta. Sorry, the Nile Delta. So now, so that we can read it, I'm going to flip it over and zoom back in on the area that we were just looking at, which is right here. And the Alexandria is designated here. Now, I could take a vast number of details out of this particular map, and I'm going to slowly just let you look at it, doing a relative comparison. In the missing islands that I've mentioned in the past, just off of the Nile, I believe it was Cyprus that was located up in this area. However, in this, it says Kibros here, which is close to Cyprus, Kibros, Gezer, Kibros, and right. And so looking at this map and the relative, what I was going to bring up was in the Italian area here. This is Italy, the boot shape of Italy. I'll zoom back so you can see once again. And when you go into close in on Italy, there are some very curious words here. You don't see Rome. I don't, at any rate at this moment, see Rome. And this is Delusia over here, which is quite curious. And Antibra, they're apparently against Bras. And Tibra, Kadra, Ragusa, Singu, but you don't see Khmer. And so once again, just checking this this particular survey to show some curious details in the names and the orientation of the map. And as usual, you subscribers see things that I don't see as I'm scrolling and rattling along. But the main curiosity is all of the missing islands I've brought up in past videos. And then the difference in the names of places that shouldn't like Egypt be here. It is the Egyptian Nile, isn't it? So maybe the Arabic had a different name for Egypt that I'm not aware of. A different pronunciation of, I'm looking for, you've got a lot of Al's here. Al-Banasra, Al-Nagasya, Al, and Kamul. I just am still a little stunned that I don't see any familiar words or names, except Alexandria. That's here, and it is similar, but all of the other, Damascus, probably, Damascus, and Tuhi, Sakath. All right, wanted to bring that up as a relative curiosity and the way that these are put together in this old world map. Now back to the essay. The Grecian formula, for one thing, the area of Greece that seems to have sunken into oblivion, or at least the fingers, the peninsulas at the lower side of Greece that used to be there that aren't there now. This map is a 1235 map. Maybe just for specifically curiosity's sake in itself, you may take a look at this. And now this is the 1235 map that I just was showing. And looking at the overall piece, just briefly, you'll see writing in the corners on both sides. A Christian-looking icon or figure in the very center. Excuse me while I zoom in to look at this, with the halo and the crosses on either side, with the writing symbology of the serpent and the tree, and here the tree in some kind of gooey way. These show up throughout. I just noticed a minute ago, they look like I don't know, mushroom spores or trichones, or see this area right here. And if I zoom back, you'll see a bunch of these here, tributaries from rivers. Apparently that may represent water and the flow of a waterfall near a tree. That's a possibility. Now, as I go through this curious piece and look at all of the writing on this, I would have to look at a very large screen, but I see that it's probably in Latin, would be my guess. But looking at the smirking Jesus, that's a little smirk going on, a little cross-eyed. He might have had astigmatism. That's where stigmata comes from, I think. And in invoice, it looks like it says invoice, but it doesn't. I noticed back here, if I zoom back slightly, yeah, even a little more, somewhere along here it said Asia. And wonder if that's Atlanticus. And the curious depictions of winged serpent-like creature over here, a hopping fish, angled in it. What is this, redacted? What's this big blank spot? Let me just stitched in blank spot that was apparently torn out or something. You see the stitch going across here? Just find curiosity in these little details. So coming back to look at the names of the area, and I'm going to zoom back and then take into consideration what names are written aside from Atlanticus. Zooming in up top once again, I noticed here we have India, just below India. All right. And so to identify the tributaries that are being shown here, there's a large S here and an I over here. So if I zoom back, A is here, so A-S-I, and there would have been an A over here. I believe this is a depiction of Asia, with India up above. And then, right, so this would be a reversed, once again, a map that is upside down, or depicted with Asia here. So if that were the case, let's go ahead and bring this down here. Let's see, I thought that might be Constantinople, but that's Caspi von Oar, Caspi von looks like Liberia over here. Liberia. And Hukrolovalas. And a lot of this is stitched back together and missing. It's curious. Maybe those aren't stitch marks. Maybe those are just drawn lines. And look. I just wanted to make quick mention of the noticing the left hand with the hole in it. Dawned on me that, of course, the Christ figure with the feet at the bottom, depicting down the feet at the bottom, one hand over here probably with a slice or a nail in it, and the other, see, there's his head, hand over here, hand over there, and feet at the bottom. So it's a big depiction of Christ hanging. I just wanted to mention that, and we could get far more deeply into this, having found Sicilia over here and all of these cities, and the circular city, and all of the many curiosities in this very obscure piece that is once again reversed from, north being at the feet. Well, here if I get in here, you have Skogia, which could easily be Scotland and Anglia. There we go, Scotland and England over here, Anglia, Britannia. Dun 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 dun. No singing. However, then you would have, of course, Germany on the other side of the English Channel, and Francia. Well, Francia directly over here. So then Germany would be back over here, I suppose. I don't see Germania or Germanicus, but there we go. There we have Germania. Mania. So, now you have a better idea of that section. I had to get back into it briefly, to get back into it again, to leave it again. Leave it again 3-4. So I thought you might find that to be a fascinating detail, and so many little niches and glitches. And are these distance markers? These little, could be. All right, back at it. Dilcia apparently seems to. And then with the upside down and turned castles this way and that way. And then extreme number of types of castles. I mean, it's not just the same one over and over. This has a dome, and this has 3, and this has 1 with displays. And each one has a name of the castles. I mean, like I said, this guy took a lot of time to put this together. And should I take that amount of time to go through it, I think, yeah, this essay would go on forever. But now, this almost looks like it says Long Harbor from a distance. Ligveria, could that be Liberia? But now, Longoborgia. So if there's anybody who still lives in Longoborgia, want to shoot me a quick text, email, or phone call. Here's Amelia, right next to Lingvria. Amelia. That's still got to be there. I mean, look at that nice castle. So the separations of the EVTONA Evotini, I don't know. All right. Well, I just wanted to get into this particular piece and get over into the corner here. There isn't a whole lot of fashion. A lot of work has gone into this, and it is quite a curious and fascinating piece with different, apparently, types of snakes or snails and cats with really long tongues or severely bad breath. You have a leopard depiction, another one with like an antelope, and quite curious. Now here's an F, and Sicilia right there. Sicilia. So you know we're close to the Italian area. So if that's Sicily, then the delta, the Nile Delta, would be up in over in this range, I believe, because Sicily. But there is no huge inlet on this side. So this is very, very curious. And I'll hold off here at Sicily and cut back into our next map. And this particular map is a 1300 map called Hereford Mappa Mundi. Hereford Mappa Mundi. And it was probably worn on the inner lapel of the captain of the ship. No, it wasn't. The exact dimensions, here's the 1321 map. And the exact dimensions, I would suppose that these angular lines that are set out on this side and that and such are a determination of dimension, but there are no numbers here. And there are no coordinate numbers here. There do seem to be some you see the numbers over here on the left side as they trail up along the side of the circumference. But that is, no, my mistake. That is writing, either on the back side bleeding through, more than likely, in this particular piece. But as usual, I will save it and go through it. Now you can see Scotia right here and Anglia right here. Or Anglia, as it says. So Scotland and England, essentially here. And then it shows up to a Mongolian type, or I've got a small screen to work with, but Nauzugud. So that would be Norway, I would imagine. Finland, over here. You would have the Siberian area up in this range over here. And so there is some of this that is discernible from this particular location. And as you Now, I find this fascinating on a large screen because I can make these words out so much better. But Uman, you have Beatra, Reggie. So if you take a look at these words, take a look at these names, and consider that the year itself was in the 1300's, according to the narrative, and Satya up here, Mararubum. So these names, these mountains, this wild-looking castle. Well, it's a mountain with a city upside down under the, or I don't quite. But also considering the person that drew this piece and the little mountain ranges that almost shark fin around. See how there's shark fins around over that way? And you will probably notice things, of course, that I'm pointing out or not pointing out right now, and I will too later. But for now, let's just take a quick survey of this now. Or a curious Georgia right here, and Georgia, Russia would be my guess. You see the mountain range right here, mountain range right there. If that were that way, then China would be down over in this range with Japan, I would imagine. What does this say? Does that say Sicilia? So I could be way off base, mister. Way off base. However, we're just going to keep going on from map to map for now and get... Now this is a Daming Hanyi 2 map. Daming Hanyi 2 map. And I would imagine it isn't... Well, it's Chinese, I would imagine. Even though and I don't really understand. But see, maybe a little. No, I don't see it here. It's not happening for me. I don't get those tingles. So let's go on to the next one. Because I like, maps that, give me the tingy. Oh, look at this face on the left side. Doesn't it look like a Spartan mask kind of a thing with two eyes and the little thing come down, and maybe a Phantom of the Opera. This is a 1402 map called Cangnido. It's a Cangnido map. Well, obviously Cangnido. It does fractile maps, apparently, with little circles and little fractiles, little circles, and really into circles. And Cangnido was obviously a Chinese map maker or cartographer. I shouldn't say obviously because I'm not taking the time to find out. Next. This is an absolutely cool map. I've gone through it I don't know how many times, maybe never. Maybe never. Stay tuned after this commercial break, brought to you by 20 Mule Team Borax. Saw you in my dreams last night. We'll return after this short commercial message. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Fantasize. Its 5-year mission: to seek out new lies, to explore fake worlds, to boldly show what all men have known before. Hello once again, and thanks for coming back to another Haphazard production. Okay, now this is a Bianca world map from 1436. As you can obviously tell, I knew it at first glance. And it's been eaten away slightly. Apparently, cartography was not important back before. Now this is cool. This looks like it's on leather or something. Let's see, the Borgia map, early 15th century. Right, you see the reflection on that? I'm gonna just get in a little closer here and let it download over the next half an hour, and eventually, there we go. Praise Jesus. Oh no, that is not leather. That's metal. That is metal and etched into metal. Nice etching work, though. Oh, this one needs some close survey. You got the dragon, you got the little demon dudes over here. Yeah, and then you've got the, I don't know, what is that? No? Ostrich? Or it's a dodo bird. It's one of the last dodos. There's Adam and Eve harvesting an apple tree, and oh man, it's great. And the camels, and and the guy with he's got a cargo. You can see 2 bags on each side of these camels. This is cool. So I'm going to download this copy. We're going to go through this in absolute detail. All right. Now getting into this very curious 1500's map. It was only designated as a 1500's map. And to get some form of bearing on this map, it's not too difficult. I'm just kind of right into this area here, and it's Mediterranean Sea. And you have Corsica, Cyprus. Here you have Alexandria, and the Nile then would be this. Egypt is clearly defined here. And in this map, there are a good many curiosities that are just everywhere. So let's go ahead and start, say, from the bottom of this, where we could find England here as an island. Right here, Anglia, as you can see, right here. And then Scotland, Magna Carta, what that is about. However, now to just continue identifying things as this being Europe, you can see as this the Mediterranean, then the Italian area, this big lump here, and France would be on the far right, over here, and then we would have Africa, well, Spain, right in here, and Africa on the other side, on the very top. Now, some of the curiosities that I noticed immediately from the bottom up was, of course, this man kneeling to a giant's head, or cooking a giant's head, or I can't really make out the words right here. But to look at the area, Gothia Magna, and then once again do a relationship between where Anglia was, and let's say here we have the Carolinas, California, as a matter of fact, right here. There's California. Actually, just comparative from England over, you have Gothia Magna, which would be more of the Germania type area. Vandalia over here. And then, guy riding a stag with a knife in his hand over here. And some curious creatures, couple. And then this guy with the giant's head. Now, as we continue over this way, we find a bunch of sea people, all pleasantly rowing with one person at the helm, and a griffin, Griffinius Melanius. And if you look at the name over here behind the griffin, and actually I just noticed a moment ago, the word Tartaria popped up. Might have been my imagination. Let me check again here. No, there it is. Right there. Tartaria. Region. Regio. Qua tartar. So I can't quite make it out of the small screen. But apparently there's a circle of wagons. You got some tents hanging out. Somebody fixing a wagon wheel down here, chipping away. These guys are over here duking it out, maybe dancing. This guy's got toilet paper stuck on his shoe, and the dog's chasing him around. There's a lot going on here in just this little teeny area. What are these guys doing? They're playing the trumpet. They're jamming, man. They have a little jam session here. And this guy's cooking up a leg of lamb or a leg of somebody, or I don't know, maybe it's an instrument, another chunk of wood he's throwing on the fire. Right, so that's all pretty happy, and checking out the words on this castle. And this looks like Justania. Is what it looks like. And then these guys are, I don't know, they're warming up. It was a chilly day. They're kind of getting warmed up a little. Here's a battle going on. There's a battle. And I wonder if it says anything about who it actually is in the battle over here. The pagans. I see the word pagan over there. So maybe it is a battle between religions. Could be. Alright. Very, very curious. And what are the... Okay, these must be the local animal breeders. And what kind of animals are these? Now, as you can see, size relation is a little twisted or distorted here with the castles or mini homes. Or maybe this is where the little elves lived, if I could read this. Now, once again, I see this word paganoise is what it looks like, paganoz. But I... Just kind of bringing it back and looking at the words. And look at the strange creature with the horns on its head and the spots and horns peeking out from behind the bush. A sneaky creature. And it looks like it has a hooved feet. I don't know. Imparse orb transit. The whole area around the orb. Right. So I thought I'd take a look at this and the long-snooted elephant. All of the strange little things going on over here. And the curiosity of why the word Tartaria was so quite obvious and visible. And here you have a griffin and a couple of Amazons over here attacking. Attack! Maybe they're just out hunting, but it is two female people. What does that say? Fringria? I don't know. Right, now you've got a lion fetching a frisbee, I guess, and a little lion action, the griffin action, the leopards. Quite a lot into this etching with the giant head at the base, and that was just the very bottom caricatures. Now if we go up slightly, you see these towns, and if I get in close, you might be able to actually make out some of these towns' names and see that they are still there. You know, like Anglia, England, and I'm looking for more Tartaria stuff. Now here it says Infidelis Hamania Expiantente. So the infidels were, I don't know, see you've got churches all over the place here. What is this? And designated as a form of temple or energy harvesting station. I mean, if you notice the locations of these, and there's Toleti or Curious. I've seen that hook in a couple of other maps of the past. Now here you have a collection of dragons right up here. There's a dragon depicted here. And, well, maybe this just kitty cat and a little lizard or something. But that is curious in that the Morocco dragon is in that area. As a matter of fact, it spreads all the way across. It would actually make up this mountain range. Yes? That Moroccan dragon? Kind of seems like it's... And there's the big circle, you know, what they call the eye of the... Maybe that's not it. Maybe that... You see with the tributaries coming out, the four rivers, and Ganugia and Tur and Onagi. Here you have houses or cages on top of camels. Camels with houses on them. Must have had some pretty big camels, and it is obviously Africa. And so this is once again a map oriented to the south rather than to the north. And that does give one cause to pause and ponder the facts of north and south possibly having been. I know it's crazy. reversed. But it's like all these maps are directed to the south rather than north. I can see that as a strange thing. What I'm looking at here is this image with like a halo and people on either side. And what does that actually say? Right there. Only the shadow knows. And these guys are all shadows. Here's a ruler with a scepter, and these guys with their long smiley faces. And man, there's a lot of time put into this this piece, I suppose, copper piece. It didn't really have the full designation on the page. But I am glad that I was able to run into it and look at some of these curious... What are these people doing? Crawling on all fours, or... man, that is one long word. Holy cow. I can't quite make out the word. But a little lower, I did define the word, and you have a lot of Tagion, Tagira, and Tagat, and Targur, and Turgia, and Trippus, and Tripoli. Oh, there we go. Tripolis. Right there. Right there. And Petopolis. And Minneapolis. No, I don't see Minneapolis, but I live in it. The Latia. All right, well, just wanted to give you some close-up looks on this curious map of Europe, Europa. Not go into it for too long. And there we have any major parts of this that I didn't quite catch. Just double checking, because after I go through, and like up over here in this area that I tended to glaze off of, with the angelic thing and the India and the dodo bird or whatever that is, kiwi or ostrich or I don't know, attack dinosaur, I don't know. But how often you get to see a map this early in the beginning of the, well, I suppose, the re-rollover time. And as I mentioned earlier, what maps weren't so important until a certain time period, or, why, I don't get why there aren't earlier maps, but I'm sure there's great excuses and reasons in the historical narrative. You can see that seems to appear to be holes. See holes here, like it should be attached. Well, it was attached. It's attached to the side of the ship. Captain, he's been attached. See, there's a hole in this guy. Holy hole. And there's some holes over here. And the Genesee map of 1457. Biblioteca Nazione at Florence. Right, so this is 1457, Biblioteca Nazione at Florence, and we're going to go through that one in detail as well. So I thought my essay would only be about an hour or two or a week or a month long, but it might be longer than that, with all of these fascinating maps and the way that they're put together, and the overall sublimation of going from the early maps, which were based on a flat earth method, to the present maps. Eventually we will get to the present maps, but I am more concerned or interested and curious about the land masses and how they varied and differed. And if you're not, that's okay, but I'm not here to push an agenda for geniuses or dumbasses. Not really. No. Just looking at the comparative differences here. And we don't cast our pearls amongst swine. There's a pearl. We don't cast our pearls amongst swine here, but we do just kind of take a look at what was and what is said about what was, and what is obviously evidenced in the maps of what was. So here you have in 1502, Biblio Entesa. So does that mean it was in a Bible? Now look at the word. Yeah, but before the 15s, it was not Bali, sphere. And so, right, there was an agenda that started up right around here that says ball and sphere on everything. And it's all put together quite curiously differently to show a flat representation that you would circle around. Like if you rolled this into a tube, for instance, then this side connecting to that side and that sort of thing. But one of the curiosities of the maps that were created before the 1500s is all of the cities that are up in the North American territory that were already there. All right? And they just kind of glaze over, oh, all of those hundreds of cities and tens of thousands of people, well, puff, we discovered that 100 years ago. Yeah, but it would take you a lot longer to create all that. So you're basically, this is funny. This is actually funny. If you ever take the time to really look at this, it's embarrassingly funny how much of the push of obfuscation. So this has gone on quite a while. I am going to get back into more fashion. I didn't find any really good fashion here, so I'm a little upset about that. But I'll get over it. It'll take me a few days. I might have to do some, heavy, research and get over it. So thanks for watching, and please comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself or found anything fascinating, curious, or otherwise educational, informative, and we'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to share with somebody of a like mind. Thanks for playing. We'll talk to you again.